The international stage felt a new chill in early June 2025. China's Foreign Minister, Wang Yi, delivered a pointed message at the ASEAN summit. His words were a direct and stark warning to the United States about Taiwan. This moment underscored the fragility of peace in the Indo-Pacific region. Minister Wang Yi's language was unusually forceful, accusing the US of playing with fire. He emphasized clear red lines that must not be crossed. Such strong rhetoric suggests Beijing's patience is wearing thin. The choice of the ASEAN summit for this declaration was significant. ASEAN countries are neighbors to both China and have ties with the US. Delivering the warning here put these nations on notice. It also aimed to project China's resolve to a global audience. Beijing wants the world to understand its position clearly. It seeks to frame the Taiwan issue as an internal matter. The immediate reactions were varied but cautious. The United States reiterated its long-standing policy guided by the Taiwan Relations Act and the One China policy. Other regional players like Japan and Australia expressed concerns, calling for de-escalation and peaceful dialogue. The warning has undeniably set a more confrontational tone. It has heightened anxieties about the future of Taiwan. It also impacts the broader US-China relationship, which is already strained. The path forward requires careful navigation from all sides. To understand today's tensions, we must look back. The Chinese Civil War ended in 1949. Mao Zedong's communist forces won on the mainland, establishing the People's Republic of China. Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist government, the Kuomintang, retreated to Taiwan. There they continued the Republic of China. This historical split is the very core of the conflict. Both sides initially claimed to be the sole legitimate government of all China. Beijing has always maintained its One China principle, stating that Taiwan is an inseparable part of China. The PRC views Taiwan as a renegade province and has vowed to bring it under mainland control, by force if necessary. Taiwan, officially the Republic of China, has its own constitution, a democratically elected government, and its own military. Initially, the United States recognized the ROC in Taiwan. It was an ally during the Cold War. The Korean War in the early 1950s was a turning point. President Truman sent the US 7th Fleet to the Taiwan Strait, preventing a PRC invasion of Taiwan. This move solidified the separation and deepened Beijing's suspicion of US intentions in the region. The US saw Taiwan as a bulwark against communism. A major shift occurred in the 1970s. President Richard Nixon sought to normalize relations with the PRC. In 1979, the US formally recognized the PRC and de-recognized the ROC. This was a seismic change in global politics, acknowledging Beijing as the sole government of China. However, the story of US-Taiwan relations did not end there. A new framework was quickly put in place by the US Congress. This framework continues to shape the complex dynamics of the region. When the US recognized the PRC in 1979, it faced a dilemma. How could it maintain ties with Taiwan? The answer came in the form of the Taiwan Relations Act. This unique piece of US legislation was passed by Congress and became law shortly after the switch in recognition. The TRA forms the bedrock of unofficial US relations with Taiwan. It ensures that the US commitment to Taiwan's security continues. The TRA has several key provisions. It states that peace in the Western Pacific is a US interest. It declares that any effort to determine Taiwan's future by non-peaceful means is a threat. Crucially, the TRA mandates that the US provide Taiwan with defensive arms to help maintain a sufficient self-defense capability. The act does not, however, commit the US to defend Taiwan militarily. This lack of a clear defense commitment is known as strategic ambiguity. Its purpose has been twofold for decades: to deter China from attacking Taiwan, and to deter Taiwan from declaring formal independence. This delicate balance has helped maintain the status quo. However, this policy of strategic ambiguity is now under strain. Some in Washington argue for strategic clarity, believing a clear US commitment to defend Taiwan is needed. Others warn that such a shift could provoke Beijing and hasten an invasion. The debate itself reflects the growing tensions. It shows how the old framework is being tested by new realities. The situation is more precarious than ever. Taiwan's importance extends far beyond its size. It holds a critical position at the heart of the first island chain. Control of Taiwan would give China easier access to the wider Pacific Ocean. Economically, Taiwan is a global powerhouse, leading in advanced technology. Politically, Taiwan stands as a vibrant democracy with a free press and open elections. The US and other democracies highlight this, adding an ideological dimension to the geopolitical struggle. The stakes are high, and the global implications of Taiwan's status cannot be overstated. From Beijing's perspective, recent US actions have been highly provocative. China sees these moves as eroding the foundations of the US One China policy. One major point of contention is US arms sales to Taiwan. The frequency and sophistication of these sales have increased. Washington frames these as necessary for Taiwan's self-defense, but Beijing views them as direct interference. High-level visits by US officials to Taiwan have also angered China. The visit by then-House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in August 2022 was a flashpoint. China responded with unprecedented military drills around Taiwan. The US military presence in the region is another source of friction. US Navy warships regularly conduct freedom of navigation operations, which China views as deliberate provocations. The increased tempo of these operations adds to the tension and raises the risk of accidental encounters. The list of provocations from Beijing's perspective is long and growing. China has not merely protested US actions with words, it has responded with a range of assertive measures. The People's Liberation Army has conducted large-scale military exercises, often encircling Taiwan. These drills simulate blockades and attacks, demonstrating China's military capabilities. They aim to intimidate Taiwan and warn external powers. Incursions into Taiwan's air defense identification zone have surged. These flights test Taiwan's defenses and wear down its air force. Beyond military pressure, China has employed economic coercion, targeting Taiwan with import bans. Beijing pressures international companies to list Taiwan as a province of China. Wolf warrior diplomacy has become a hallmark of China's foreign policy. This approach signals a less patient China. The international community watches closely as these dynamics unfold. The stakes are high and the potential for conflict remains a serious concern. The current situation in the Taiwan Strait is fraught with danger. The risk of miscalculation is alarmingly high. US and Chinese military forces operate in close proximity, with naval vessels and aircraft from both sides frequently encountering each other. A minor incident, an accident, or an unauthorized action could quickly escalate. If communication channels are not open and effective, a small spark could ignite a larger fire. This is a scenario that keeps military planners awake at night. Both sides are aware of this, yet tensions persist. Should a limited conflict erupt, there is a grave danger it could spiral out of control. The fog of war can lead to misunderstandings and unintended consequences. National pride and political pressures could make de-escalation very difficult. A conflict over Taiwan would not likely remain localized. It could draw in other regional powers such as Japan or Australia, both of which have strong security ties with the US and significant interest in regional stability. The potential for a wider conflagration is very real. The global economic impact of a Taiwan conflict would be devastating. Taiwan's central role in semiconductor manufacturing means a war would cripple global tech supply chains. The disruption to shipping in one of the world's busiest waterways would be immense. Economists predict a deep global recession. The interconnectedness of the modern world economy means no country would be immune. The stakes are incredibly high for global stability and peace. Despite rising tensions, diplomatic channels between the US and China remain. They often operate under a cloud of mistrust. High-level dialogues occur, but breakthroughs are rare. Both sides accuse each other of bad faith. Yet these channels are vital. Back channels and Track 2 diplomacy play crucial roles. They help clarify intentions and reduce misunderstandings. These efforts need support to identify off-ramps from the current cycle. The situation surrounding Taiwan involves extraordinarily high stakes. A military conflict would be catastrophic for all parties involved. China, Taiwan, and the United States would all suffer immense losses. The global community would also pay a heavy price. There would be no true victors in such a war. The human cost, the economic devastation, and the geopolitical instability would be profound. This reality should weigh heavily on leaders in Beijing, Taipei, and Washington. The focus must be on preventing such an outcome. To avoid disaster, clear communication and de-escalation mechanisms are essential. Both the US and China need to establish reliable crisis management protocols. This includes military-to-military hotlines that are actually used. There must be a shared understanding of each other's red lines. Misinterpretations of intent or actions could be fatal. Building a degree of mutual trust, however difficult, is necessary. This can help manage incidents before they spiral out of control. Transparency and predictability are key. The international community also has a role to play, encouraging dialogue and restraint from all sides. A united international voice calling for peace can make a difference. The stakes are incredibly high for global stability and peace. The imperative for peace has never been more urgent.